Hello, friends, and welcome to Bottle and Bond, a discussion of the James Bond movies and lore alongside spirited companions. I am Mike Scott, and I have been watching James Bond movies for nearly 30 years, but have never really taken a deep dive into the history and lore of this film franchise. So, alongside my friend Charlie, we are going to delve into each of the 25 Eon produced movies. During this episode, we will be enjoying a beverage or two that would pair nicely with the movie. Today we will be discussing the 15th movie in the franchise, 1987's The Living Daylights. So find your cigarette case, prepare your favorite cocktail, shaken not stirred of course, and leave your hat at the door while we ponder this question. Is this James Bond or is it James Bland? This is episode 0015, The Living Daylights. Charlie, welcome.
Thank you, Mike. James Bland,
James
huh?
Bland.
Wow, that's hardcore.
Recording on a Friday. Charlie's got a big event tomorrow that he doesn't start till 7 p.m. He gets to run 25 miles at 7 p.m.
I do. And 25 miles might sound like a lot, but my friend Jake is running 100 miles, so I'm just helping him run miles 50 to 75.
I see. What's funny is you're driving like 130 miles to run 25 miles.
Something like that, yes.
That's hilarious.
But I get to stop by Sweetwater and look at some guitars I don't need to buy.
Oh, there you go. We have 3 companion beverages today. I snuck one more in. We have the Pilsner Urquell. We have a Moroccan Smash. And we have a little bit of Jim Beam in honor of the return of Felix Leiter.
Yes. Younger Felix Leiter, I feel like.
Errors and omissions, not really an error or omission, but I did a poll for Octopussy asking which clown you preferred, Pennywise, Bozo, or James Bond. And Sean, good friend of the show, wrote in that he actually prefers Homie the Clown, which for some of you out there, if you don't know, look it up. We also had a listener comment from Sean. He sent an email. Mike and Charlie, love the podcast. You're both hilarious and insightful. This is what happens when you give them free beers. They give you
exactly.
nice compliments. While discussing A View to a Kill, the question about a restaurant inside the Eiffel Tower came up. Interesting to know there are actually 2 restaurants within the tower, including one that is Michelin starred.
Oh, wow.
There are also shops, a Champagne bar,
Really?
and the restored apartment of the man who designed the tower. Just to look at the Eiffel Tower now, it seems like more of a skeleton structure than an actual building with functioning businesses inside, but that is not the case. Keep up the great work, Sean, aka Johnny Diablo.
Well, that is fascinating. I mean, having seen only the one at Kings Island, I don't know that I would have known it was big enough for all those things to be in there. That is very interesting. But I guess
that base just must be a lot bigger than you think it is.
Than you think
and it's all about the base.
Wow. Yeah, but I guess if they're doing like a little butterfly show, though, definitely leave that restaurant, no matter how good it is.
A little bit of news. Not really Bond related, more podcast related. The Golden Globes announced the podcast eligible for submission for Podcast of the Year. We respectfully declined to be considered, in fairness to the other podcasts out there with a much smaller footprint. So congratulations to all the people that, actually went out for it. We took the high road and decided not to.
That's right. I mean, yeah, we don't want to make them look bad.
Yeah. Let's do the plot summary. After preventing his assassination, rescuing and subsequently losing Soviet defector Georgy Koskov, James Bond seeks answers by tracking Koskov's would-be assassin Kara Milovi to Czechoslovakia, where he begins to realize Koskov may have been playing him and the British Secret Service the whole time. He has a friendly chat with KGB head General Pushkin, also known as Gimli, who he pretends to kill so he can snuff out Koskov's collaborator, U.S. arms dealer Brad Whitaker. Bond is betrayed by Milovi, drugged, and taken to Afghanistan, where he is to be turned over to the Russians for killing Pushkin. With the help of Afghani rebel leader Kamran Shah, Bond sabotages Koskov and Whitaker's plan to sell raw opium to fund weapons purchases. Bond and Kara escape Afghanistan on a jeep out of the back of a plane. Bond then takes out Whitaker. Pushkin captures Koskov, who is likely not long for this world, and Bond reunites with Kara. The Living Daylights.
Boy, it's a good thing they really depict, like, how evil would you have to be as a country to go wage a war in Afghanistan? Oh, wait a minute.
Whoops.
That story didn't age well, did it?
Whoops. We're not a political podcast.
No. Look at our friends, the Afghani rebels. Oh, wait.
That might come back to bite us.
Yes.
Cast. Timothy Dalton as James Bond. This is the first of 2 appearances. Miriam Diabo as Kara Malovi. Yaron Krabi as General Georgy Koskov. Joe Don Baker as Brad Whitaker. This is the first of 3 appearances by him, though his next 2 appearances, he's a different character.
Boy, both those names are pretty American, aren't they?
Yes.
Joe Don Baker and Brad Whitaker.
John Rhys Davis as General Leonid Pushkin. Art Malik as Cameron Shah. Andreas Wisniewski as Necros. Thomas Wheatley as Saunders. John Terry as Felix Leiter. Desmond Llewellyn as Q, 13th of 17 appearances.
Wow.
Robert-
I can't even imagine what he's going to look like by the end, because boy, did he look old.
He looked pretty old in this one. Robert Brown as M. This is the 3rd of 4 appearances. Jeffrey Keane as Minister of Defense Frederick Gray. Walter Gotell as General Gogol, the 6th of 6 appearances.
Aw, man, I like him.
And now we have the big one, Caroline Bliss as Miss Moneypenny, the new Moneypenny, 1st of 2 appearances. Directed by John Glenn, not the astronaut. We're back to the actual British guy.
Okay.
4th of 5. Screenplay by Richard Maibaum and Michael G. Wilson. Music by John Barry. Cinematography by Alec Mills. Production design by Peter Lamont. The theme song, The Living Daylights by, let me think. Aha!
Oh, wow.
Then we have...
Did you practice that one all day?
I did not. There are 2 Pretenders songs highlighted also. If you notice, they're actually at the beginning of the credits. They actually got 2 songs in here, and their music was incorporated into some of the theme, or some of the scenes as instrumental stuff. Where Has Everybody Gone and If There Was a Man. Both Pretender songs.
I did not notice. I watched it twice, and even after the first time you mentioned it, and I was watching the movie, and halfway through I'm like, I wonder when I'm going to notice these Pretenders songs, so I guess I have to watch it a 3rd time.
There you go. Somebody has to watch it a 3rd time. Premiered June 29th, 1987 at the Odeon Leicester Square.
Yeah.
Opened June 30th, 1987 in the UK. Opened July 31st, 1987 in the US. Budget adjusted for inflation, $83.6 million. Worldwide box office adjusted for inflation, $469.2 million. 23rd out of 25.
That kind of surprises me.
Still considered a success, but amongst Bond movies,
it surprises me in that it's a new Bond. You'd think, oh, let's go see it, because that's how I felt about it.
Any memory of this one?
I mean, 100%. I remember sliding down the mountain in the cello case.
You told me that a lot. Yes.
Right. I mean, I don't know why, but that was a very striking scene that really stuck with me. Once I watched it, I did remember it. I mean, I definitely saw it in the theater, probably with my friend Pete, because we were both pretty excited about a new James Bond and seeing what the movie was like. So I definitely saw this one somewhere in Upper Arlington.
This was the second Timothy Dalton movie I watched. I actually watched License to Kill before I ever saw this one. That's really the only memory I have of it. So we'll go into the scene-by-scene breakdown.
That's so unlike you to watch something out of order, Mike.
Well, I was much
Must
younger.
have been your younger days, and you hadn't really established your ways yet.
Right. We start off at the Rock of Gibraltar on a plane. M is giving direction to 3 agents for a training exercise. So the agents skydive onto the rock. One agent is almost immediately killed by paintball.
Okay, yeah. So first of all, obviously the people in the ground are in on this whole exercise,
Yes.
right? So they know something's going to happen, and maybe they don't know when, but they obviously know enough about when to have paintball guns. But could you possibly miss three men skydiving onto a tiny island or peninsula? I guess it probably is Gibraltar. I mean, so the one guy's killed like
Oh,
he's
yeah.
a double O.
He's definitely not 007. He's like negative 007.
Right. I mean, and he gets killed right away.
Yes.
Boy, this was a great plan. So let's parachute into a heavily guarded area. Nobody will see us, possibly, when we just land right there next to the heavily guarded area.
Maybe they were supposed to. There were specific unguarded areas they were supposed to hit, and he just
Maybe.
didn't hit it. I don't know.
I don't know.
Because
But-
we got a second agent, supposedly he's another 00,
Yeah.
standing at the top of the cliff where one of the other guys is trying to rappel up, and he gets shot with a paintball. But then that agent turns around and shoots the training guy and kills him. So this guy's not one of the 00s.
No, but the guy climbing up the side of the rock
Yes.
was about to get shot by the paintball guy at the top of the rock, right?
Yes.
If the fake guy hadn't been there, he was also going to basically immediately
He did
die
not
without
land in the
getting
right
there.
spot.
But if he hadn't landed in the right spot, why did he take that big rope with the bat hook and throw it up to the top of the mountain? Right?
We're
Go
in the
to somewhere else.
We're in the opening scene, and Charlie has ruined the movie already.
I mean, I couldn't put this together. These are the greatest secret agents in the entire world. All right,
So
go ahead.
the second agent that you're talking about here, that's 004. So he's
Okay.
climbing the rock. This decoy guy drops a note down on a little carabiner
Yeah.
and then cuts the line, and 004 falls to his death. And then that's where we see James Bond. 007 appears and sees that one of the agents is killed. So this is Timothy Dalton. This is his first time as this. He was known for a movie called The Lion in Winter that came out in 1968 when he was pretty young. And then he was also in the movie Flash Gordon in 1980.
Really?
Very cheesy.
The one that had the theme song by
Queen.
Queen?
Yes.
Wow.
He also appears in a phenomenal movie called Hot Fuzz that you're going to have to watch.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
So then Bond encounters a monkey, which is actually called a Barbary macaque. I know I butchered that name, but that is the only monkey native to Europe.
Interesting.
There's actually a saying, if the Barbary apes ever leave the rock, so too will the British. Because the British, I believe, still to this day,
Have Gibraltar?
yeah, that's
Yeah, I
their
wouldn't be
spot.
surprised. I mean, those British people and their colonizations.
Yeah. Bond catches up to the escaping assassin, jumps onto his truck, which is a Land Rover 88 Series 3. And of course, it's filled with explosives.
Why wouldn't it be?
I thought it was pretty cool, though, most of the stunts, a lot of the stuff with him on top of the truck, that's Timothy Dalton doing that.
Was it really?
Yes.
So they just like strapped him onto
Yeah.
there, I assume, and
It
was pretty good stunts.
It
up
was. There were some limitations because of insurance and stuff. But he wanted to do as much as possible. We get them driving around on these little roads, and they go to.
I mean, the roads look terrifying enough,
Yeah.
frankly, on the side of that cliff.
right.
You know.
But then it goes into this little like pavilion area with some tables set up, and the tables have umbrellas that say J&B Scotch. And because of that, I purchased J&B Scotch. That's going to be the Scotch whiskey we use for our cocktail today. Because
I like it.
I have a letterboxed playlist of how many times J&B Scotch appears in a movie, and it's crazy. It's all over the place.
Oh,
So
any movie ever made?
yes,
Oh, so
yeah.
it's very popular.
Very
huh?
popular.
Either that or they paid a lot of money to do product placement in a lot
Quite
of movies.
possibly.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
After a struggle with the assassin, the truck ends up going over a cliff, and Bond escapes via parachute as the truck explodes.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, we have this yacht that's sailing along underneath. Bond lands on top of it because his parachute gets like holes in it from the fire from the explosion. But he lands on it with a lonely woman, and he needs her phone to call HQ.
You know, things are so boring here these days. If only I could find a real man. That was super cheesy, but
Yes,
kind of
yes, it
awesome at the
was.
same time.
He tells HQ we get a quip here. I'll report in an hour. Then he looks at the woman and says, better make that two.
Yes.
So we get slap and tickle number 1 with a random woman that we never see again. And then we move into the opening credits with The Living Daylights by Aha. I like the song the more I listen to it. I wish I could understand what the heck they were saying. I think that was my biggest problem with the song, but I do like the music, and I do like the opening credits quite a bit.
Yeah. So, just for all you listeners, I've spent several weeks trying to convince Mike that this was a good song, and Mike has wanted to resist thinking this was a good song. But it has grown on him
It has.
to the point where he now admits it's a pretty good song.
It's no Moonraker, for sure.
Right. It's definitely not Moonraker. You're right about that. But it's a pretty good song.
It's not bad.
Yes, it's Aha. You can't totally understand the verses necessarily. If you listen closely, you can sort of get what they're getting at. But
Yeah.
it's a pretty good song. And the opening credits are fun. I mean, there's a lady in body paint, I think that was, right? But
And you get that lady at the end that you get a long look at her, and she's just
she the
staring
one
at
that was in
camera.
the big cocktail glass?
Yes.
And you see her face. She kind of
Yes.
lays her head over, and then you see her face. Yeah, yeah. It was pretty good. Of course, the silhouetted women doing gymnastics. There was some dancing with James Bond that women were doing and stuff.
The silhouettes of Bond actually could be Timothy Dalton because he's not 800 years old like Roger Moore.
I know, right? He probably could do the dancing
Yes.
scenes for the silhouette.
We now start off in Czechoslovakia, and with that, we're going to pause to get our first companion beverage.
All right.
We are back. We have a beer from, technically it's from Czech Republic or whatever, but
Whoa, at the time of the movie.
at the time of this movie, it was Czechoslovakia, and Pilsner Urquell was definitely made then. This is very different from the American, like Budweiser. If Budweiser is Steve Urkel, then Pilsner Urquell is Stefan Urkel.
Okay.
So cheers.
That's pretty good.
It is good.
I don't think
It's
of
definitely got
myself
more
as
flavor.
Yeah, it does. I don't think of myself as a Pilsner person, but maybe I'm biased against them because of,
Miller Lite,
American
Budweiser,
Pilsner.
yeah.
Right, exactly. And, I have had a Pilsner Urquell in Czechoslovakia
I wonder if it's different.
in
I mean,
1990.
no, I was going to say you probably don't remember.
Yeah,
but
well, it's been quite
I
a
imagine it tastes a little different over there. The Czechs consume more beer per capita than anybody in the world.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would have thought people in Wisconsin did.
No, that's cheese.
Well, I mean, and bratwurst.
Nice.
Sausage. I would think, maybe the Czechs can give them a run for their money on the sausage too, I'll bet. Eastern Europe. But
I'm trying to think of give a run for money with sausage, and I
Yeah,
can't think of
sorry
one.
about
I'm not always quick on my feet with
sorry.
those.
Next time I'll let you know ahead of time so you can write something down.
Thank you.
No, it's pretty good though.
It is
And
good.
I went to Prague, and it was an experience in 1990. They had sort of just become not communist in whatever they called it, the Velvet Revolution, I believe.
Well, the Velvet Revolution was when Czech and Slovakia broke off. That was a little later, I believe.
Okay.
This has been a history lesson that you did not ask for and did not need on Bottled and Bond.
Yeah, you guys can, all you Czechoslovakia experts can write in.
Actually,
I know, exactly right. But yes, I was there right after it was communist, but it was still Czechoslovakia, as
Yeah.
far as I know. I got food poisoning there.
oh, congratulations.
Yes, but fortunately, I didn't get sick till I was in Vienna, where it was a place where I actually didn't mind seeing a doctor, whereas in the time at slightly post-communist Czechoslovakia, I don't think I would have wanted to chance that.
Bond is at the opera in Czechoslovakia, where he meets with Saunders to discuss the defection of General Georgy Koskov. Bond is, for whatever reason, scoping out the orchestra. He sees a very talented cellist. This is Mariam Diabu. I keep saying it wrong. I think it's Diabo. Miriam Diabo.
Is she actually Czechoslovakian? Or?
She is not. She is British. She is the cousin of Olivia Diabo, who played the older sister in the Wonder Years. I always thought they were sisters because they actually look a lot alike.
Wow.
But Miriam Diabo worked with a professional cellist who bore a strong resemblance to the actress, so the professional was actually used as a double in some of the scenes.
It was apparent when they would just show her hands,
Yes.
especially at the end. I mean, obviously you don't just go from actor to concert level cellist immediately, right? So,
Yes.
but they did a decent job of making it look on the wider shots like she was actually playing the cello.
Right. Bond and Saunders then leave and they go across the street to watch for a sniper as they await Koskov's escape because he's trying to defect from the Soviets.
Right.
He's a KGB agent trying to defect to the West.
Yeah, did you notice the flags they had in the opera?
I did not.
They had the Czech flag.
Mm-hmm.
They had the Soviet flag and the East German flag, the DDR.
Nice.
All the great allies of the Eastern Bloc.
Yeah. So we see Koskov making his escape, and this is Jeroen Krabbe, best known by me as the friend/villain in the great movie The Fugitive. You've seen The Fugitive.
I've seen The Fugitive, yeah.
He's his friend that's the one that's like, spoiler alert, he's, switching the medical samples so that they can get some drug approved that really is really killing people.
I just remember that I'm innocent.
I don't care. I didn't kill my wife. I don't care. Bond spots the cellist up in the upper floors of the opera house with a gun and is told to take her out. Instead, he shoots her hand to prevent her shot. This is the only scene that bears any resemblance to the short story.
Oh, interesting.
Which actually takes place in Berlin, but it's about an agent that's defecting from East Berlin. And Bond is trying to make sure there's no snipers. And there's a sniper it's a woman sniper, cellist. So that's it. That's the only element from any story. It's funny how they've gotten to that point on these where it's just...
They just take a little kernel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bond pulls... So they get Koskov because Bond does stop the assassination. Saunders puts Koskov in a trunk or a boot if you're
British.
English, yeah. And takes him out of the trunk and drives off without Saunders. And we see some police swarming the opera. Any thoughts on that scene that I missed?
Well, it was good how, he takes Koskov out of the trunk and says that's the first place they'll look. But he also, he gives Saunders a hard time because he asked Saunders earlier what his escape route was. Well, due to Section 24, that's on a need-to-know basis. So when Bond is taking him,
Bond changes the plan up,
that's on a need-to-know basis.
By the way, what did you think of Bond's gun? That gigantic sniper rifle. That thing looked like
it was insane.
It looked like a rocket launcher or something.
I know. There were so many pieces to it. And when he hands it in the alley back to Saunders looks like he doesn't even know how to hold on to it. It's so bulky and ridiculous. Yes, I did notice that.
Bond takes Koskov to the Trans-Siberian pipeline. Bond plans
Which, if Bond didn't know he was helping Koskov escape, he had all this planned, I guess. Or
no, that was the well, I think Bond kind of knew
maybe
that he had a better plan to get him across because they were just going to put him in the trunk. And
it is a good plan, though.
Yes. Bond plans to send Koskov to the West via a pig in the pipeline. That's a device that's used to scour out the inside of gas pipelines. Charlie actually arrived today in a pipeline pig and destroyed my foundation, so we got a lot of work.
It was pretty fun, though.
I'm hoping to get some sponsorships so I can pay for a new foundation. Thanks, Charlie.
Yeah, no problem.
We have Rosika Miklos, a spy agent, double agent, whatever. She's working at the pipeline, and she's going to help Bond get Koskov through the pipeline by pretending to slap and tickle with the watchman while Bond is loading Koskov into the pig.
It was pretty funny. I mean, actually, it is probably kind of believable that the Czechoslovakian people probably, by and large, were not all that fond of the Russians.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't think you would be if they took over your country and made you communist.
Yeah.
So
Koskov goes through the pipeline. We get some funny noises as the pig's going through there. He is eventually greeted by Q at the other end of the pipeline.
a very old
Very
looking Q.
old Q. Bond picks up Saunders and heads into the west in an Audi 200 Quattro.
Yes. I wondered if you were going to mention the car. Yeah, that's a nice car. I like that car.
Saunders is pissed that Bond didn't kill the assassin, says it's going to be in his report, and then we get our favorite thing in a Bond movie when they say the title of the movie. Whoever she was, it must have scared the living daylights out of her.
Yeah.
I see a meme all the time where they have that clip and it says, whoever she was, it must have scared the quantum of solace out of her.
Nice. Must have scared the view to a kill out of her.
Must have scared the octopusy out of her. And that one's good.
Wow, that one. Yeah, I don't know.
Koskov is eventually taken away via a Harrier jet that can lift off vertically.
I liked the Harrier
cool.
jet.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen a Harrier jet at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It was super cool because it could kind of stop in place and then turn around horizontally. Very, very cool plane.
The only jets I've ever seen, they're all bald. None of them are Harrier.
Wow.
We were back,
I bet if I read this page, that's written down here somewhere.
we were back at Universal Exports in London.
I do like they're still using Universal
Yes.
Exports.
Q and Bond are looking for the cellist assassin amongst like known KGB female agents. Moneypenny walks in. This is our new Moneypenny, played by Caroline Bliss.
You notice that Q tells him they're winterizing the car.
Yes.
They were like, which was a pretty cool Aston Martin, and
We'll
they were
get to
putting
that car,
roof
yeah.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I liked the Moneypenny. I liked the new Moneypenny. I think she did a good job. We only see one Q branch toy at this time, and this may not have aged well.
It's very possible it did not.
I don't know okay, so I think this term predates this movie though.
Oh, I'm
So the guy's got
certain
the
that's true.
gigantic boombox, and then there's a missile in it that he fires, and Q calls it the ghetto blaster,
Yes.
which is a racist term. I think it was ultimately embraced by the community, but at the time it was meant to be a racist term in that there were these big boomboxes in certain areas of the city that
where people would carry them around on their shoulders and play loud music.
honestly, I think they're awesome. I would love to have one now. Makes me think of the movie Do the Right Thing, the Spike Lee movie. I'm guessing you've never seen that either.
No, I've never seen it.
That's got a pretty prominent ghetto blaster in it.
Does it? I mean, there were a lot in movies back in those days.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd carry them around and you could do your breakdancing competitions and so forth.
Of
That's
course.
what would happen in
That's
movies.
what you did, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had one, right? I mean, everybody got.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
everybody
it was a
had one.
portable tape player, right? I mean,
I
a
didn't have
portable
the
stereo
gigantic
was pretty
one.
awesome.
That was
No, ours wasn't
the
that
gigantic
big.
ones are pretty cool.
Yeah, but ours was pretty big.
Bond and Moneypenny flirt for a little bit, but eventually we go to the Bladen safe house. We see an American jogger killing a milkman with
hang
his
on,
headphones.
hang on.
Okay.
Can we mention how Moneypenny tries to lure Bond back to her apartment?
Remind me.
She asks if he wants to come listen to her Barry Manilow collection.
That's right. Barry Manilow. Are you a Fanilow?
I mean, I owned a Barry Manilow album. I think the live album that had where he did all the commercial jingles that he had written, where he does that little bit. Yeah, I mean, I owned a Barry Manilow album. It might have been an 8-track even. That's how long ago it was. I think it was something when my parents bought me my first stereo. I think they bought me that record along with something by... So they bought me an 8-track with England Dan and John Ford Coley and another record of Neil Sedaka's greatest hits. That's... This has been another episode of How Charlie is Older Than Mike.
Ah, yeah. We hadn't had that in a few episodes.
I know.
Great
definitely,
return. Great
yeah.
return to that episode. So, yeah, we have this American jogger killing a milkman with his headphones. Bond arrives at the Bladen safe house in an Aston Martin V8 Vantage Coupe. Absolutely gorgeous car.
Yeah, very cool
This
car.
thing was amazing. It had been 8 films since we'd had an Aston Martin. So,
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, so Roger Moore never drove an Aston Martin. That's crazy.
Oh, that is interesting. He drove some pretty sweet Lotuses though. So
Yeah.
still he drove some British cars.
True.
So that's good. But did you like the little rake that was like a radar thing or something in the front yard spinning around?
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody will get with all of the, security around here. Nobody will figure out that this isn't just a regular working farm.
Koskov is in there, and Bond brings in a nice little welcome basket. M and Freddie Gray are also there. And the first thing Koskov pulls out is a bottle of Bollinger, which we still don't have our Bollinger sponsorship.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, I'm assuming they probably paid for product placement in these movies. I don't understand. I mean, they wouldn't even have to pay us. All they have to do is send the bottle of it to us.
I'm more than willing to stop this podcast for 5 minutes just to speak to the glories of Bollinger, but they won't send us anything.
10 minutes.
Yeah, 10.
I'll talk about it for 10 minutes, Mike.
We'll drink 3 bottles of it and talk about it.
If we must.
The American jogger is now a British milkman, and he's infiltrating the safe house. Pretty easy to get in there for all this security.
I know. I was like, I loved how the guy at the gate pats him down, but he's driving an enormous truck that you could hide anything in, right?
He clearly should have checked the milk a little closer.
Well, right. But if you're trying to break in, how dumb would you have to be to like have a gun on your body when you have an entire box truck that you could be hiding things in?
One would also think that the milkman was a regular guy, and they'd be like, why is Ted not here today?
Well, they did say that.
They did, yes.
He did, yes. But he just lets the other guy in after he pats him down. But I will say it was the old days, right? There weren't like security badges and things, and they probably thought, oh, everything will be fine.
We didn't have Elon Musk satellites looking at our faces all the time.
Exactly.
Koskov defect. Okay, so Koskov's explaining why he defected. He defected because of General Pushkin, who replaced Gogol as head of the KGB. Pushkin has a secret directive called Smirt Spionum, which means death to spies, which actually is another element from Russia with Love book.
Yeah.
That was big in that one, and that's a great book too. Basically, it's a plan to kill spies, and Koskov believes it'll ultimately lead to nuclear war. Pushkin, he tells M and Bond and Freddie Gray that Pushkin will be in Tangier to initiate this death to spies program. Bond, M, and Gray conveniently leave to consult with the higher authorities in London.
Right.
Now, when they leave, we then get a scene with a parrot. Did you see the parrot?
I saw the parrot.
That is the same parrot from For Your Eyes Only.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I thought that was pretty funny. His name's Crone.
Wow.
Shout out to Crone, who I'm sure is no longer with us.
Probably not, but they do live a long time, I think.
Yeah, that's true. The milkman, who is Necros, arrives at the building. And this is, like I said, Andreas Wisniewski, who I actually remember from the first Mission Impossible movie. He's also in Die Hard.
All right.
Necros attacks and brawls with an agent, and then he throws a bunch of milk bombs around. Who throws a milk bottle?
The kitchen fight scene was pretty good.
It was good.
Like shoving people's faces on the hot grill and throwing the boiling water, and I loved the electric knife. So the electric knife was great, and then he kicks the plug out of the electric knife.
Sometimes we'll do a Friendsgiving. We do that most in a year. And we have one particular friend that he is required to do all the cutting with the electric knife.
Yes.
So we'll have to make sure he doesn't attack us this year.
We will. So at the fight, he's throwing milk bombs all over the place. And then, he's
he finds Koskov.
Koskov is being held hostage by him.
Yeah.
Right? He's taking him, and whatever British diplomat or whoever was standing there, he's taking them both out, and he tells them both to go with him.
Yeah. He knocks out Koskov to put him on a stretcher to put him into a medical
Into a medical helicopter.
And then they fly away. So now we're at MI6, and Bond, M, and Gray discuss losing Koskov, and they're sure that he's dead now. Now, Bond does not believe that Pushkin is the one behind this.
Right.
He wants to investigate it further, including the cellist sniper. M says he'll recruit 008 to check out Pushkin, and Bond can take a fortnight's leave. And Bond kind of fights back with him.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he says he'll go after Pushkin, and he'll figure it out. So now we go to Q Lab, and we get some more fun stuff. Our first gadget of the movie. Well, technically there's another gadget, but it hasn't been initiated yet, so we'll talk about that gadget later. But the first gadget is the keyring finder by Philips. Very clearly by Philips.
Yes.
So if you whistle Rule Britannia, it causes the key finder to expel stun gas that disorientates a normal person for 30 seconds. And then there's a wolf whistle. There's a specific,
it's personalized.
It's
the whistle
personalized.
is personalized.
And of course it's a wolf whistle, and that will cause the device to explode.
Yes.
And then it also has a key on it that opens 90% of the world's locks.
I enjoyed that too.
That scene was kind of funny because Desmond Llewellyn, when they did the stun gas, he kept his mask on, and they did that so he could dub his lines later, because he was always getting all these elaborate lines that he had to say, and he hated messing them up and stuff. And then I'd mentioned in a previous episode, Roger Moore would write all this fake stuff that he told the director to give to Desmond Llewellyn to read, and it was all gibberish that had nothing to do with the movie, just to make him more flustered.
Oh, that's funny.
We then get a brief look at a trap couch where he has an agent sit down, and he falls into the couch, and then Q just sits down. That was pretty funny.
That was pretty ridiculous and hilarious.
Bond and Moneypenny then discuss Kara Malovi, who is the cellist assassin, and
yeah,
Bond.
they actually give Moneypenny a job in this movie more than just like being a receptionist.
She's not just
I guess
she doesn't sit behind a desk at all.
No,
We don't even
she
see
doesn't.
M's office. Bond decides he needs to go to Tangier, but he needs to go via Bratislava, Czechoslovakia. Now, Bratislava is in the Slovakian part of Czechoslovakia.
Okay.
We are now in Bratislava, checking out Kara. This was actually filmed in Vienna because they couldn't film in the east.
Right.
Bond hops on a tram to follow Kara, and we get the stereotypical thug on the tram that grabs her, and she is taken to Pushkin. And Pushkin, as I said previously, John Rhys Davis, known by me for Indiana Jones, and known for Gimli and Lord of the Rings, and also known for, I don't even know if you've ever seen this show. There was a show in the 90s called Sliders, and it had Jerry O'Connell and John Rhys Davies.
Did see that.
I loved that show.
That was a good show. I forgot it existed till this very moment.
Sliders basically was about a guy that discovered a way to travel between dimensions. So he would go to this world where the British won the Revolutionary War, or he would go to a world where the ice caps melted, and it was just figuring out how to get back home. I love
like
that
somebody
show.
said, Quantum Leap's pretty good. What could we do that's like Quantum Leap, but not the exact same as Quantum Leap?
I think you're right. I think you may be right there.
Yeah. But it was good.
Kara's gone. She leaves her cello case on the tram, so Bond grabs the cello case, and for the first time in a Bond movie, we see somebody going to the bathroom.
I know, right? He has to go in there to open the cello case.
He opens the cello case, examines the gun that was used to try to kill Koskov. I didn't notice this at the time, but he says it later. But the bullets that he looks at, they're blanks.
I mean, I noticed they showed them closely, and I noticed that they looked funny instead of pointy, but I did not know that those were blanks.
Yeah.
Until he said it.
And we see Kara's address in there, so now he knows where to go. Kara arrives at her flat after a night at KGB headquarters. And, either Kara's a big slob or somebody has ransacked her room pretty badly.
I know, right? That was the first thing I thought, man, she's got a messy apartment.
Bond comes in with her cello case. They discuss Koskov and how Bond thinks he faked his defection. Kara reveals that she is Koskov's lover. So Bond and Kara hatch a plan to escape the KGB thugs who are just right outside that are just monitoring her.
Right outside, sitting, it looked like to me, in a Lada.
Okay. I'll
which
take your
is
word for it. I did not research that one.
a Russian car. Well, the Russian police cars are also Ladas,
Okay.
and we saw Ladas when we were in Czechoslovakia and Eastern Germany when we were over there, and they were Russian cars that I think were probably more prized than the Trabants, the East German cars that we also saw. The Ladas were what kind of like diplomats and fancy people would drive.
I mean, if you're in communist countries, of course there's going to be a lot of them. So they use Kara goes out, Bond leaves first, gets in his car. Kara goes out, goes into now kids, there's this thing that you used to go to called a phone booth.
I know, right?
Where if you wanted to make a call, you couldn't just reach into your pocket. You could reach into your pocket to get change to put it into the phone booth to make a call.
And by the way, if you're like 22 years old and you're in Czechoslovakia and you go to a Czechoslovakian payphone and try to figure out how on earth to possibly make that thing work, you are unlikely to be able to figure it out. Trust me.
She's in the phone booth and the tram comes by and the thug's looking on and it looks like she's still in the phone booth. So at this point, Bond and Kara have gotten away in the Aston Martin. Kara does insist that they have to go get her cello because in an Aston Martin, there is always room for cello. The KGB thugs do find out that they've been duped eventually.
I did think it was pretty funny, right? It was a pretty good scene where they're arguing and Bond is like, we are not going back for the cello. And they just cut away and there they are. He's sitting in the car waiting for her to get the cello.
I like that, actually. I like that, Bond just can't smack a woman around and she does what he wants. That was pretty cool.
That was funny.
We're now driving in the mountains. Bond somehow manages to find the police band. And they state they are looking for a foreign car, a man and a woman, and then Bond says, and a cello. We get a car chase now.
Yes, and that was definitely a lot of that police car.
This is our gadget. I have to say this Aston Martin's a gadget at this point because
of
everything he does in this.
Well, doesn't he say he got a few extras installed?
He did, yeah. He's driving along and the cops are coming, so he uses a laser to completely chop off the top of the car.
Comes out of the wheel hub, yes. And totally chops the police car.
Kara doesn't know what's going on, so he has a little quip here where he says salt corrosion. The cops set up a blockade, and Bond fires some missiles to get through. That was pretty cool.
You notice the heads-up display he's got in the windshield? That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I read it was like, I can't go into depth on how they did it, but just the way they like shot the missiles, how they looked like they're coming from their car. Apparently, it was pretty difficult for them to figure out how to get that shot right, but they obviously did.
Yeah.
Bond then drives onto a frozen lake. He steals a cabin to hide. Very inconspicuous.
That was pretty silly.
Tire gets blown, and then Bond is squealing around on the ice, and he, of course,
on the rim,
cuts a perfect circle in the ice so that one of the cop cars ends up having to stop. And then we get some other cool gadgets where Bond engages outriggers and tire spikes. And in order to escape another barricade, he has a rocket on the back of the car that he uses to fire, and he goes over the barricade.
Because there is a ramp that perfectly fits the width of those outriggers.
Yes, perfect ramp.
Pretty cool, though, either way.
The car does crash.
Yeah, they're going down a mountain in the snow in that car, which looked pretty treacherous among the trees.
Q's going to be pissed because Bond sets the car to self-destruct. And we get another ski chase, but this time with a cello case also. This scene was filmed with the actual actors. That's Timothy Dalton and Miriam Diabo,
in that cello case. That's awesome.
The cello is the only casualty of the chase. It does take a bullet, and I have questions about that. We'll get to those later, though. I have questions.
You know, it's funny because I play weekly with a cello player, and I was sort of sizing up his cello case the other day to see if it seemed like a person could really sit in there.
Yeah. So then we have this scene where there's a security arm, assumingly
the border,
to the west,
the border, right?
And Bond throws the cello over the arm and catches it. That was Timothy Dalton that did that. They tried to do
that. I kind of enjoyed.
They tried to do it with a stuntman, and they couldn't get it right. And Timothy Dalton's like, "I'll try it." He did on the first take.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was pretty good where they're sliding under that gate and he tosses it up and over.
We do get a little quip. We've nothing to declare. And then I think Kara says, except for the cello.
The cello. She does say that.
We're now at Whitaker's estate, where Pushkin arrives to talk to Whitaker, and there's all these wax figurines. What's funny is when I go over to your house, you have a bunch of wax figurines of yourself as various historical figures, but they're all women. So it's like you as Eleanor Roosevelt. The one of you as Sojourner Truth is very offensive.
Nice.
How awesome.
Pocahontas, too.
Yeah. Pocahontas. Could you imagine? He had a Hitler one. What a freak.
I know. And I assume like a Genghis Khan, it looked like maybe. And yeah, a bunch of other. I mean, he obviously was disturbed. And he was standing there amongst them, obviously, to try to, look like one of the figures, right? Standing still.
So this is Joe Don Baker, who we did a news item on him. He actually did recently pass away. But he's one of those ones that he was a bad guy in one Bond movie, he's a good guy in another one. He's a CIA guy in some Pierce Brosnan movies.
Oh, okay.
But he's not Felix Leiter.
He's about as American as it gets in this movie, isn't it? I mean, he's like a brash Texan, right? Like just
talking about how he was
the world.
He's talking with Pushkin. Pushkin says he's going to cancel their big weapons order. Whitaker makes all this talk about how he was a soldier and stuff. Pushkin's completely unimpressed because he was kicked out of West Point and was just like a mercenary. So he's just a loser, of course. We now go to Vienna.
Well, hang on.
Yes.
There was one thing I wanted you to notice in Whitaker's place, which is he's showing him around all of his, the room that has all these historical battle.
Yes.
Either he had like a big drawer or a big table with a reenactment, and he had like a cannon or the first automatic weapon, and all these various things. Under that table, he had some drawers that open, and he had guns in there. Instead of an automatic door, he's got the drawers open with a remote control. Like, it's so hard to pull a drawer open. I need this button I can push that will open the drawers.
It's like having a remote to control your lights instead of just getting up and flipping a switch.
But that is difficult.
It is.
Especially when you don't have children at home all the time. You can order around to go turn them on and off for you.
I mean, you have children. We both have a child at home. It's convincing them to do it.
Yeah, or be in the same room.
They'll never listen to this episode. So.
No, they will not.
We are in Vienna now. Bond and Kara arrive in the back of a truck. Then they get a nice little horse and carriage ride. She talks about how her cello is a Stradivarius, so obviously top of the line.
I will say, I didn't know there were Stradivarius cellos,
I didn't
but
either.
I also
didn't think about
don't know too much about Stradivarius. So,
yeah, I always just assume violins.
Right, right, because those are the ones you hear about. But I suppose maybe Stradivarius made violas and cellos and basses and who knows what else.
Bond and Kara arrive at a fancy hotel. We then briefly go back to Whitaker's headquarters, where Koskov is there, and we realize that, he did dupe everybody. He's relaxing at Whitaker's poolside oasis. Koskov and Nikros end up having to go have a chat with Whitaker, and we see Whitaker there with this gigantic food spread. And
a huge full lobster in front of
They
him.
talked about that in the book I read. It was like, we wanted to get the biggest possible lobster for this scene. And I think they succeeded. Yeah.
Yes.
So they discussed that they want to kill Pushkin because they're worried that this plot that they haven't fully revealed yet is
and really they want to get Bond to kill Pushkin so they don't have to do it.
Well, they think at this point they still think that they don't know that the British know that they know that the British know. Oh, sorry. I was going into Friends mode there for a second. They don't know that Koskov didn't really get picked up by the KGB. So they think that they need to kill Pushkin, but they're going to wait.
But they think the British might still believe the story and want to kill Pushkin.
Back in Vienna again, in the opera, we do get to see producer Michael Wilson cameoing as one of the members of the opera audience. Not the first.
Oh, really?
Not the first crew cameo that we see in this one. The other one I think will surprise you a little bit. Kara and Bond are sitting there. By the way, Kara had gotten a really nice dress that Bond bought
Yeah,
for
yeah.
her for the opera. She leaves. Saunders comes in, and they discuss Koskov's fake defection. Bond tells Saunders he's posing as Koskov's friend to try to get some answers. He asks Saunders to look into that cello, which is called the Lady Rose, to find out where it came from. Bond and Saunders agree to meet at the Prada Cafe near the Ferris wheel at midnight.
Yeah, Saunders agrees to get documents for her, like a fake passport, so she can leave the country. And
Yeah.
yeah,
So now we have Bond and Kara on a roller coaster of love at night.
I guess so. I mean, a carnival of some sort, right? I mean, they ride the octopus.
Boxcars? Carnival of sorts? Sorry. Bond is then hustling a carnival barker at the shooting game, where obviously he's just nailing
Yes.
every shot. And he's like, the barker's like, please, no more. Eventually, Bond and Kara get onto a Ferris wheel of love. Have you seen that Ferris wheel? That's in Vienna.
No, I haven't
You
seen it.
haven't seen it.
I was in the hospital.
Oh,
in
that's
Vienna.
right.
I didn't get to see as much
So
there
you
as
didn't
I
have a
wanted
nice
to.
view of it from the hospital.
No.
We then see Pennywise. Oh, no, wait. That's Necros with a big thing of balloons stalking Saunders.
Yeah, you know things aren't going to go well.
Apparently, this was an homage to a movie called M, starring Peter Lorre, which I have actually seen.
Really?
It's like 1931. He's a creep in that movie, like the ultimate creep. Like, we're talking child murderer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. For the early 30s, it's insane that that movie was made, but I do recommend it. It's a good movie. Saunders arrives at the meeting place. We get a glass sliding door. We haven't really talked about sliding doors in a while. It was a very elaborate looking like mechanism for
Okay.
that sliding door.
Yeah, yeah. It was a very elaborate sliding door. But cool.
Yeah.
Is this before or after they're on the Ferris wheel?
After. Well, during, actually. Saunders is arriving there while they're still on the Ferris wheel.
Stuck at the top of the Ferris
Stuck at the top. With some making out.
Yeah, I mean, so they get stuck up there
Yeah.
and they're making out, but they start lying down, making you think that things are about to go down. And all I could think to myself was, boy, I bet that cold hard metal is a great place to like take everything off and lie down on that, like, you know, gunky cotton candy sticky bench that's in the Ferris
Right,
wheel.
but this is Europe. It's probably cleaner.
I don't know. I thought to myself, that's not a very romantic way to go there.
So after the potential slap and tickle with the Ferris wheel, they do eventually get off, and then they get off of the Ferris wheel.
Nice.
I like when I make myself laugh.
Yeah.
Bond does go meet with Saunders. They discuss Kara's cello, which was purchased by Brad Whitaker, our goofy U.S. arms dealer.
Imagine that.
Necros is outside jamming out to some Pretenders music. That's where you can best hear
okay.
it. Where
All
Has
right.
Everybody Gone is the name of that song. Saunders eventually leaves, and he gets killed by explosive sliding door. So we get a killer sliding door in this one.
Okay, I have questions about this.
I do too.
I mean, did he rig that up the day before knowing exactly? Well, maybe he rigged every door in the entire amusement park just in case one of the spies walked through possibly a door. Like, how does he know that this is going to be the trap
Now,
that works?
I thought they showed him rigging it after Saunders went in. I
Oh,
thought
you
they
think
showed
so?
him by the panel. Yeah.
So he just happened to have a door rigging device
Yes.
with him
Yes.
just in case that would be useful at some
I
point.
mean, I'm sure villains have a Q branch too that make everything that they need for this
that they-
particular scenario.
that they happen to have. Yes.
Saunders is dead. Necros leaves his Smirt Spionum calling card on a balloon. Bond tells Kara they are heading to Tangier to reunite her with Koskov. So now we are in Tangier, and this is where we are going to have our second companion beverage.
All right.
We are back with our Moroccan Smash, which is a pretty simple drink. Consists of Scotch whiskey. We went with J&B in honor of the J&B umbrella that was earlier in the movie. Just some simple syrup, some orange, some lemon, some mint, and some crushed ice. The orange and lemon are muddled, whatever that means.
I don't know, but Tracy knows, and that's the important thing because she did it.
Yeah, made by the Countess Tracy. Cheers.
Cheers. That is interesting.
That is a refreshing drink.
It is.
I like that. I like that a lot.
It's interesting how the Scotch offsets the fruitiness. You get some fruitiness, but not as overpoweringly sweet as you think it's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, J&B, it is the world's finest Scotch whiskey. So.
It is.
Good stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm pleased. We're in Tangier. We have Bond spying on Pushkin from his Audi 200 Avant.
Yes. A wagon, as we would call it.
Couple Audis in this one.
There are. And how is he spying on him, Mike?
With his glasses that turn into binoculars.
I mean, is it that hard to take binoculars with you?
They're much more conspicuous. I mean, those glasses were very inconspicuous.
Oh, totally. Yes. Nobody would notice those things.
Pushkin arrives at the Hotel Ile de France.
Okay.
Who knows if I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah. Good enough.
So Pushkin's bringing some flowers to his suite with his lady, and he gets into his room, and Bond is waiting for him there and interrogates him at gunpoint. Pushkin says, I take it this is not a social call. Bond quips, correct. You should have brought lilies.
That was
a good line. So Bond asks him about the Death of Spies program. Pushkin says that program ended 20 years ago. We then see Pushkin activate his little watch alarm for the guard that's outside of the suite. And Bond hits him, says that was a big mistake. He then takes off Pushkin's companion. We're not going to say wife, girlfriend, mistress, who knows. Takes off her top.
I didn't take it off. He tears
it off.
Right off.
And the guard comes in, and he just sees a topless lady there. And of course, that immediately just stuns you to.
Well, I mean, it does me if I walk into a room. I mean,
it's not wrong. It's a good, it was a good strategy.
I tend to look and try to assess what is happening here.
Bond takes out the guard, and they have another back and forth between Bond and Pushkin. Ultimately, Pushkin admits that he'll have to die for Bond's plan with Whitaker and Koskov to work, because he's trying to find out what those two are up to.
Right.
We go to Pushkin at some gala where he's set to speak. So he's up on the dais, and we see Necros is about to shoot him. But then there's gunshots from somewhere else, and Pushkin gets shot in the chest, bleeding everywhere. We see that Bond beat him to it. And then Bond escapes over the rooftops from here.
That's a pretty good rooftop chase scene.
What's funny
We'll probably never see that again in a Bond movie.
Right. There was a deleted scene here where Bond hops onto a magic carpet. It's not a real flying carpet. It wasn't that ridiculous, but it was on like wires, and he sits on the carpet, and it goes across one of the roofs.
Like it was out drying or airing or something.
This is where we have a new James Bond, because Roger Moore absolutely would have been on a flying carpet, and he would have been puffing a cigar while he was on the flying carpet. But they took it out of this one. Basically, the director said this scene, it was just too slow moving for it to be a good scene. So no clowning around by Timothy Dalton. Unlike Roger Moore.
Wow.
Necros sees Pushkin's body being wheeled out. Then we see Pushkin and his lady friend in some back room, and Pushkin opens his eyes, and obviously they set him up to die. Bond and Pushkin had this plan to try to sniff out, Koskov.
Okay, don't you think she would have screamed? That was the first thing I thought when he opens his eye and sits up.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, it was good.
So we have Bond being pursued. He's going through Tangier, and he's being pursued by two lovely ladies in a red 1959 Impala convertible. That was nice.
I did like that car.
Go back to Pushkin removing his blood packets. Back to Bond. He's being held at gunpoint, taken to some yacht, and we get to welcome back Felix Leiter for the first time since Live and Let Die. And we were going to have a drink with Jim Beam for Felix Leiter at this point, but we're still working on our Moroccan smashes, so we'll just have the Jim Beam later.
I mean,
Because
we could talk quickly about the fact that those girls in the car just happened to be in the right place at the right time to pick up Bond and then ask if he wants to go to a party. And then they disarm him so easily.
it does seem like Bond maybe knew
Yeah, I don't
where
know.
he was going. I don't know. But Bond and Felix talk and they have some Jim Beam. So we'll have a little Jim Beam later. Just in honor of
So
the
how do
return
you
of Leiter.
feel about the new Felix Leiter?
For this one movie?
Yeah.
I mean, he's fine. Nothing special. I mean, Leiter's always been such a background guy.
Yeah.
He's not a huge part, at least not. I mean, Dr. No, I think he was a pretty big part.
Yeah.
But he's not going to be play a big role again until the Daniel Craig movies.
Right. This wasn't my favorite Felix Leiter. I don't know. He was okay.
This actor's named John Terry. He may be best known from the movie or the TV show Lost, which I didn't finish, so I don't know.
Oh my gosh, much older.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
Oh, so you do recognize him then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Well, there you go. Necros tells Koskov and Whitaker that Pushkin is dead, and then Koskov gets a mysterious phone call. We have Bond. After his little chat with Leiter, he goes back to Kara's room where she's rocking out on her cello. This is my question. Would a hole in a cello affect it in some way?
It certainly would. Now, of course, cellos have holes in them,
Yeah.
right? So they have those like F holes that allow the sound to come out. And it would have to affect it in some way, right? Both in the structural integrity of the wood and in the fact there's another hole for the sound to come out. I don't know exactly how it would affect it.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to assume that a cello makes sound the same way acoustic guitar is, which when the strings are vibrating, they're on that bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the bridge is sitting on top of the wood and it vibrates the wood. And then it echoes around inside that structure and comes out the holes. But then again, I know Mike's shaking his head at all this talk
we're
of...
sitting here. This is a family-friendly podcast, and we're talking about F holes and multiple holes and vibrating wood.
You want to hear how a guitar has a nut at the other end of the bridge? Anyway, but, you know, like you've seen Willie Nelson's guitar, right?
Yeah.
So Willie
Okay,
Nelson's
that's
guitar has... it barely has a top anymore.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure it sounds different than it did, but I guess what I was thinking of the same thing.
Yeah.
But I also thought, I suppose a Stradivarius cello with a bullet hole in it still might sound better than just your regular, dime store cello that you get down at the 5 and 10.
Okay. This has been an episode of Charlie Knows Music and Mike Doesn't. And also an episode of Charlie's Really Old because he did say 5 and 10.
I know. I was wondering if you were going to catch that. I doubt they have too many cellos at the 5 and 10. But I used to go to the 5 and 10 all the time, the Tremont 5 and 10, so I could get my baseball cards, Mike.
Okay.
And the baseball cards came in actual, like wax sealed packs with the gum in there that was so dried out that it could basically like cut the roof of your mouth when
Did you then
tried
put
to
the
chew
baseball
gum.
cards in the spokes of your banana seat bicycle?
Sometimes, yes.
I figured you would. Yeah.
100%, Mike. If it was the Merv Rettenmund card, of which I had like 500 copies when he played for the Cincinnati Reds.
So not a Hall of Famer, Merv Redmond?
Well, let me say this. He was on like those big red machine teams. And
Okay.
have you ever heard of him?
Oh, no.
He's not Johnny
So
Bench.
he's not Johnny
right?
Bench.
Right. Or Pete Rose. No.
Kara, eventually, she's done playing her cello. She gives Bond a vodka martini, which is shaken, not stirred, and
Okay.
definitely drugged.
Yeah. Did you see? It was sitting on the table already in the shaker. How much of the ice do you think melted? She didn't know when he was coming home, right? So how many hours ago did she shake that martini up and it's just been sitting there getting watered down? I mean, come on.
Who knows? Who knows? Necros and Koskov arrive After, Bond's drugged, he passes out. Right before he's passing out, he basically tells Kara that this is all a mistake because clearly Koskov is doing some bad stuff.
It was interesting how, okay, I want to talk about this. She almost immediately seems to believe him.
Yes.
The other thing was, though, almost immediately, when they were up in the Ferris wheel together, like, she's still Koskov's girlfriend at this point. Like, she pretty much, and she tells Bond, I've been thinking of what it would be like to be with you.
Maybe it's,
I'm
they're
like,
European, they're more open.
So, I guess. So, she's willing to, like, cheat on Koskov, but then she believes him when he calls and says that this guy's KGB, but then she immediately flips back after she's poisoned Bond and Koskov comes in and get him. Like, seriously, lady.
It's tough out there.
I guess it is.
So Nekros and Koskov take Bond away on an airplane. Oh wait, that's not Bond. It's Jersey Bondov. Did you notice that on his little medical ID when they're putting it?
No,
it's a Jersey Bondov.
That is hilarious. I didn't read it. It was so quick when they like check. Well, they're in that Chevy van, which I guess they have a lot of over there or something as ambulances, right? And they're taking them to the plane, right? And they're inspecting the van. Okay, so how do they convince the people? They check the ID, and then how do they convince the people that it's real, that everything's fine?
That cool pumping heart that's in the cooler.
Yes, the pumping heart that's in the cooler. And then, as you'll do, you drive the entire van onto a plane. Because definitely when you're transporting somebody in a plane, you definitely get a plane that can fit the entire van in it instead of taking.
You got to get that van directly to the hospital once you get to.
But in Airplane, that little girl, they just wheeled her onto the plane, Mike.
I just watched Airplane again for the first time in a
while.
Her
IV bags hanging on the thing and everything, right on the plane.
Surely you don't think Airplane is really how they would do it, though.
I do, and please stop calling me Shirley.
Thank you.
We did not set that up, folks.
Definitely not. We're now on the plane. Bond and Kara are like waking up. Well, Bond is waking up from his being drugged. Kara's just kind of there. They check out the heart cooler.
She's reading a Cosmo.
Yes. Checking out the heart cooler, which is also loaded with diamonds because, of course, I mean, there's got to be diamonds. Diamonds are forever.
Wow. This time when they open it, the diamonds are very sparkly, which they were not originally when the authorities opened it.
Koskov says he's going to be taking Bond to the Russians for killing Pushkin, and that's going to get him back in the good graces that he's going to say that he was...
On a secret mission for Pushkin. And Pushkin's dead, theoretically, so who's going to dispute him?
Our next scene, we now have Russians in Afghanistan.
I know, right? I actually had forgotten about this, and I'm like, boy, this didn't age well. Yeah. Those evil Russians fighting the Afghanis.
Yeah. Of course, they didn't film in Afghanistan, so this was all filmed in Morocco also.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. Bond is taken to a Soviet jail, is almost concussed yet again, but he manages to avoid it this time. The jailer's Russian accent turned very Scottish at times. I don't know if you noticed that. It was kind of
funny, yeah.
But they get into a fight. Eventually, Bond is able to get a hold of his key ring.
Did you notice he had her get the key ring? She's like, what can I do to help? And he wanted the key ring, and she got it out of the overhead bin before they left. So she very helpfully drops it on the floor of the prison. Thankfully, Bond picks it up.
And then the jailer gets it, but then Bond whistles Rule Britannia, and the smoke comes out, and it knocks him out. Bond then tussles with the jailer, eventually gets him into one of the cells and locks him up. All this time, there's another prisoner in there. The guy's name, and we'll hear his name later, but the guy's name is Cameron Shaw, played by a guy by the name of Art Malik, who I remember from the wonderful movie True Lies, which is one of my favorite movies of all time.
That's a very good movie.
It's funny. There are tons of the supporting people in this. I was like, oh, that's from that. That guy's from that. That guy's from that. So we had a lot of those in this one.
Okay, did you notice that guy helped, and Bond was going to walk right out of there without letting him out?
Yeah.
He's about to open the door, and the guy goes, please?
Yeah. I do like when they put the jailer in the other cell and the Cameron Shaw guy is just flipping him off. That was pretty funny.
did. That was funny.
So he does give him the keys so that he's able to escape. Bond and Kara then escape the camp and are ultimately confronted by Shaw's men. And
Wait, hang on.
okay.
How do they escape, Mike? How do they get from the prison to the fence and over the fence?
With a cherry picker? Or not a cherry picker, but something like that.
With the Bluth Airlines stair car.
That's right.
They
Stair car.
drive the stair car
Yes.
to the fence so they can climb up and jump over the barbed wire fence.
Yeah.
And all I could think of was Michael and George Michael Bluth driving the stair car.
There's always money in the banana stand.
There is.
We do. Shaw's men confront them, and Kara's really worried. So we get a quip from Bond here. Don't worry, they'll save you for the harem.
Yes.
Next day, we have Bond and Kara following Shaw to the rebel camp. Shaw's all cleaned up now, and he says he apologizes for his theatrics from his Oxford days. So he is, I believe he's still supposed to be Afghani, but he is
Oh, okay. But he was
Oxford
Oxford educated.
Yes.
All right. Okay. That makes sense. I'm with you now. At first, I thought, why is he an Englishman fighting with the Mujahideen? But now that makes sense.
I do believe Art Malik is actually Pakistani.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but I think he also was educated in England.
I guess that makes sense. I sort of forget like all of these places in Europe where people go to Oxford to get educated and various pieces of the empire and all that kind of stuff.
Unlike us Americans, we don't need no education, apparently. Bond tells Shaw...
Those guys were British.
I know. Bond tells Shaw that Koskov is trying to buy American weapons that can be used against his rebels. Bond needs to get back to that air base to apprehend Koskov. Shaw says no. And Bond eventually goes back and meets up with Kara, tells her that he is going to go after Koskov and that she's going to get sent to London. Kara beats Bond up, tells him she'll never see him again. He promises otherwise. She does call him a horse's patoot at this point. And then we get...
Well, I assume she uses whatever her language is.
Yeah.
And he says, "Did you just call me a horse's arse?"
Yes. Then we get slap and tickle
And
number
then
2.
they lie down in the pillows.
Of course. Slap and tickle number 2 with Kara.
You know, I do kind of like the Middle Eastern thing of having a bunch of pillows on the floor. I kind of like it. I ate at a Moroccan restaurant one time.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool. You sit like down close to the ground and stuff, and there's lots of pillows around and stuff. I think I could
I'd
go
like
for
to do
that.
that.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
I could definitely go for that.
Next day, we're on horseback with Shaw, and then we also have Koskov at the base. They're kind of going back and forth between these two scenes. Bond there's a bunch of medical bags that are on these horses, and Bond is checking them out. And he discovers
Camels. Those were camels.
I'm sorry, camels. And then he discovers that the medical bags are actually raw opium, which is the second time raw opium has made an appearance in a Bond movie. First time was For Your Eyes Only when they're at that Albanian camp.
Oh, okay.
With the big wheels of it.
I mean, they grow a lot of poppies in Afghanistan. There is no doubt about that.
The Russians arrive to buy the opium worth $500 million. Notice we don't say pounds anymore in these movies. They're just straight up going dollars now.
I know. Well, it's a lot of money, though, either way. So
they're using the diamonds to buy the opium and then make a huge profit on the opium. Shah, he doesn't care. It's
really complicated.
It is. It is a little complicated. Shah basically says, I don't care if Russians are killed with my guns or with this opium. So he's of questionable character, but at the same time, ultimately, he's not a bad guy. Shah does agree that he will help Bond, go after Koskov and everybody once the Russians make their payment so that they don't tick off that
So
plan.
he agrees to get him a bomb,
yes,
which they just happen to have with them, thankfully.
Yeah. Bond eventually becomes a drug dealer by helping load opium
quite
onto
an
the
advanced bomb and timer that they just happen to have with them.
Yeah. So Bond becomes a drug dealer, helps load the opium onto the truck, and then he hides in the truck. Necros gets on there, Bond hiding in the back.
Okay, do you think Bond, she says Bond's trapped in there, we have to help him. Did Bond get trapped like he was going to get out, but suddenly it all happened so fast he couldn't get out? Or was he 100% always planning to be in there?
I felt like he wanted to be in there, but Kara still wanted to go
Okay.
after him. That's the way I interpreted it.
Because it was so complicated the way he had to hook this bomb up and everything.
Yeah.
There was no possible way he was going to do it fast enough to get out of there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kara wants Shaw to go after Bond and help. He refuses, but she just steals his gun and then goes and
I know.
rides
It's
off.
a good thing that the cello player from Czechoslovakia is like a horse riding expert.
Yeah. Eventually, Kara and Shaw do arrive at the Russian base.
What does Shaw say? She runs off, and Shaw turns around and looks at all his men who are just staring at him like, what are you going to do?
He just says women, right?
Women.
Women.
And then they all go help.
They arrive at the Russian base, and then we see Bond is now loading the opium onto the plane, as well as the bomb that's going to blow up the plane.
Yeah, conveniently, there are some other Afghan people helping load the plane. Like, I don't know where they came from or why they were there, but at least he didn't look alone. But he makes the fatal mistake of not keeping that stupid mask over his face.
Yeah, that's all he had to do.
That's all he had to do.
Yeah, because Koskov and Necros discover him trying to get off the plane. He just grabs a gun and starts shooting. Shaw hijacks a bulldozer at this point, knocks over a bathroom. This is our first man-ass in a Bond movie. We see a couple man-asses.
We see some definite male nudity in this one.
The rebels then charge the camp. Bond then gets into the cockpit and fires up the plane, and he's trying to fly away, but the blocks are still in front of the wheels, so he can't do it.
They couldn't afford very big wheel chocks, though, because
he could
they
drive
were
over
very
them
small,
yeah.
and he drove over them eventually.
Timothy Dalton was actually in the pilot's seat during these shots, but the actual pilot
there was another guy
yeah.
next to him driving the plane.
I think it was Roger.
Probably a good
I think it was
idea.
Roger Murdoch, actually, that was next to him.
Probably. You ever been in a Turkish prison?
No, but he's been in an Afghani prison.
Right.
And we go back to Kara. She's fighting off an attacker, and then she's going to try to chase down Bond on her horse. We've seen that before.
Obviously.
We've seen a horse catch a plane before.
Horse, catch a plane, yeah.
The rebels and the Russians continue to fight. Kara does get knocked from her horse, so then she finds a truck to chase down Bond.
Sure.
Koskov and Necros are pursuing in a vehicle with a mounted machine gun. But, of course, Koskov's like, no, don't
shoot at the plane.
Don't shoot at the plane. He says that multiple times.
He does.
Bond does open the back hatch of the plane so that Kara eventually figures out that she can drive up into it. Now, they were not...
Like Michael Knight.
Nice. They were not allowed to taxi the... This is a C-130 plane. While the back was open. So the part where she's actually driving up onto the plane, that's a furniture van that, I mean, you'd never tell. That was great special effect work.
It was. I did notice, though, sadly for me, that they never actually fully lowered the ramp on the plane, and that then they had a scene where you suddenly saw the ramp fully on the ground. That makes sense now.
Yeah.
I'm glad it makes sense, because I was like, why aren't they lowering the ramp? But yeah, you probably ruined the plane.
Right.
And those planes, I'm guessing they're kind of expensive.
Yeah. Necros and Koskov eventually catch up, and Necros jumps onto the plane as well. Bond does take off.
Oh, but you don't know he's jumped onto the plane
okay.
necessarily, right?
Maybe not. But we see Bond.
We assume he did, but you don't see him jump on.
Right. We got Bond landing. Or I'm sorry, we got another plane landing, and Bond manages to get over him just in time. How did Koskov not die when this plane smashed right into the Jeep?
I wrote that down. It smashes, it explodes,
yes.
And suddenly there's just a scene where Koskov is just fine. And, he kind of stumbles a little bit out of there, right? The other thing was, she drove a Jeep onto the plane. I'm going to assume that plane was going about 60 miles an hour, and he takes off.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess that plane needed to be going a bit faster to actually take off and clear the other plane. It looked like it was going very slowly.
Right.
Anyway.
We're on the plane now, and this is a Hercules C-130. That's the name of this plane. Bond gives Kara the controls so he can secure the back, and then that's where we see Necros netting one Bond. He gets him with the net.
Nice.
Kara accidentally opens the back door, And Bond,
Okay, does she open it? Like,
it wasn't on purpose.
are you sure?
I'm sure. Yes, I read that in the,
Okay.
yeah.
Because she's looking at the controls and she not only does she accidentally open it, but then she pulls up on the controls so that everything slides out the back of the plane.
Yeah, the way I read it, that she was
Okay.
just like searching.
All right.
She didn't know what
Well,
she was doing, I
okay.
guess.
Well, they show it and it's written in Russian, but I was like, well, she can probably read Russian.
Yeah. Bond and Necros fall out of on the net with all the opium, so they're like hanging out of the back
Pretty
of the
good
plane.
scene with the stuff,
all
the
real.
net hanging back there. Yeah, you could tell it was real. And I did remember that part too. That part was pretty cool, the way all the cargo's kind of flapping around.
Yeah. So for this whole fight on the back of the net, this was filmed in California, so they couldn't get a C-130 to do it. So it actually was a smaller C-123 plane. There was apparently only one time when you would notice it, and it's when Necros eventually is like falling off. You see that there's only 2 propellers instead of 4.
Instead of 4.
But nobody noticed. Not even you. And you notice all kinds of stuff in these movies.
That is true. I also noticed when she drove onto the plane how fascinating it was that she drove on and then basically the wheels locked into these locking things, which when I'm like, oh, I guess that Jeep is meant to be on the back of the plane.
Yeah.
And it comes into play later.
Right. So the Bond releases most of the opium. Necros is like holding on, basically just holding on to Bond's shoe. Bond gets his knife and cuts his laces, and the shoe falls off, and Necros falls to his death.
Now, Mike, I got to tell you, if we're ever outside of a plane like that, and I'm holding onto your shoe and you're cutting the laces, I'm going to quickly reach a hand and grab the actual net so that when your shoe comes off, as I'm watching you do this, I don't actually fall to my death holding onto your boot. I'm going to grab the net.
You have to be very quick because I wear Skechers slip-ons, so there are no laces. So you would just be like, no. Bond gets back onto the plane, closes the hatch. Of course, the bomb wasn't in the opium bags that fell off the plane, so Bond finds it. He has to deactivate it.
How many seconds are left?
2.
Wow.
Sadly, once again I'm disappointed that it didn't stop at 7.
I was counting in my head the seconds because they kept cutting to it as they were fighting out there, and I was trying to count the number of seconds in my head to see how accurate they were. I mean, I lost count.
Kara asks what happened. We get a good quip here. He got the boot.
That was good.
I like that one. Bond arrives just in time to prevent Kara from crashing into the mountain.
I know, right? She's like maybe you should look out the windshield.
We see down below that there are Russians that are following the rebels. Bond.
Did you notice that the plane was slower than the rebels on horseback and the people chasing them?
Sure. Bond then decides to do his best Alec Guinness and decides to blow up the bridge so the rebels can escape.
Oh, nice. Now, did you watch that movie for the first time pretty recently?
Not too long ago. It's been in the last couple of years, yeah.
It's a great movie.
It is pretty good, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And the song,
Have you seen...
Bridge on the River Kwai, people. Great, great movie. Definitely watch it.
Have you seen Lawrence of Arabia?
No, I haven't.
I mean, it's good, but it's 4 hours long.
Yeah.
So it's a commitment.
Yeah, Bridge on the River Kwai.
Yeah.
I've definitely watched that, people. And there's a bridge involved.
Kid's the guy in that movie, later went on to play Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars.
He did. Yes.
Bond keeps his cool quite well, despite all the engines are dying, all the plane, suddenly, and there's no place to land.
Is there really no place to land? It's like 4,000 miles of desert.
It's mountainous, I guess, because you look out the cockpit and it's all mountains, but then
when they
get out, it's like, this looks like a landing strip.
I know. It probably was, of course, in real life.
Yeah.
I know. It's still, they had to make a good scene.
Now, I will say for when they decide to get into the Jeep, it's a shame Bond didn't have his trusty umbrella to wedge into the front to help drive the plane while he got out the back.
That would have been helpful, wouldn't it have?
Bond and Kara, like I said, they escape out of the back of the plane on the Jeep just before it crashes into we'll call it a mountain. It was really just kind of a little plateau.
It would have been still hurt just as much to crash into.
Yeah.
But how did they get the Jeep out?
It's got like a parachute
They
thing that
pulled a
pulls it out.
parachute,
Yeah.
right? Because in theory, you would have been dropping
Yeah.
vehicles out of the plane with a parachute to parachute down so you could help your ground soldiers, I
Yeah.
assume. But that was cool, right?
It was
Because
cool.
it was on like a skid that's what it had clipped into when she drove it on the plane. And then when it lands, releases the wheels and they can drive off in the Jeep.
Yeah.
It was pretty badass.
The truck is actually, it's a Land Rover 90, but it
Yeah.
was modified to resemble a Russian UAZ 469.
Oh, wow.
So that's it. Now,
I didn't even notice it wasn't a 469.
yeah. They are basically right by Pakistan because he's like, I know a great restaurant in
In
Karachi.
Karachi, there's a sign, yes, to Karachi.
We're now nighttime in Tangier, and Felix Leiter's there helping Bond to infiltrate Whitaker's lair. Whitaker being a real dork, playing with his little models.
I know, right? Moving the little pieces around.
How he would have done that
Yes.
particular battle.
I know, because Bond immediately tells him that was the wrong way to do it.
Yeah, I don't
didn't he?
remember what battle it was. I
Yeah.
think it was a British one. But Bond confronts him at gunpoint. Whitaker gets one up on Bond just by opening a cabinet door. See, the remote cabinet
The
door.
remote
came in handy.
drawers work, don't they? The drawers open and knock Bond over. Those are some strong opening drawers.
They have their little shootout. Whitaker's got this gun thing that has this big shield.
Gigantic machine gun with a shield, and he can't hit Bond
Yeah.
10 feet away in a room.
But we get a nice little callback to Dr. No here because Bond's shooting at Whitaker, and then Bond has no more bullets, and Whitaker says, "You've had your 8, now I'll have my 80."
Yeah.
That had to be a nice little callback
That
to
was good.
Dr. No. We do get one last use of the key finder. Bond does his little wolf whistle, blows up the statue, and it falls on Whitaker.
And kills him.
Yep. Pushkin arrives, and Bond says that he met his Waterloo.
Yes.
So Koskov comes in, tries to weasel his way out again, but Pushkin...
Oh, thank you, General
Yeah.
Pushkin, for rescuing me.
He's such a wiener.
He really is.
Pushkin orders him to be put in the diplomatic bag, which I can only think means you're going to get executed.
I'm assuming that was a body bag, yes.
Yeah. We go to the concert, and this is where we get another cameo. John Barry is the conductor.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I thought that
'Cause
was
he
pretty
probably
cool.
is a conductor.
Right. Em and Gogol are chatting with Kara. They say she gets her. Oh yeah, we get Gogol.
She's
for the last
playing.
time.
She's playing the cello,
Yeah.
right, in the concert.
Yes.
Yes.
Not a lot of Gogol in this one, but we get him at this little last scene, and this is a nice little farewell to Gogol. She gets her visa to move freely between countries.
That might be the most unrealistic part of the entire movie.
Getting the visa.
the Russians or the communists are gonna just like, oh well, she escaped. We'll let her come and go.
We'll say it was Gogol because we know Gogol's a decent enough guy. Shah arrives, chats with Kara. They don't know where James is. Kara is eventually told James is on assignment, but he's actually waiting in her dressing room with some, hopefully not drugged, drinks.
Right.
And some more slap and tickle. That's
Okay.
the movie.
Now Shaw arriving reminded me of Airplane also, right? Did you notice that they come in there and they've got their machine guns and the bullet belts on like all over, and they're like, we had a little Trelay at the airport.
Can't imagine why. I think that
Yes.
was Gray,
It wa-
Immer Gray that said
It was.
that. Yeah.
But that, of course, reminds me of the metal detectors in Was that Airplane 1 or Airplane 2? When all the people go through with in the metal detector. Maybe
Must
it's
have been
Airplane
2. I
2
don't
and
think
you've never seen it.
I've never seen 2.
Oh my gosh, Mike. Yes. All sorts of people. One person goes through like a normal looking person and they get like tackled for setting off the alarm, and then all these people walk through with like machine guns and bullet vests and everything.
Nice. That's the movie. So now we have some trivialities.
But there was no boat at the end.
No boat. No Bond on a boat. I don't know that we get another one. I can't remember. Per Cubby Broccoli from his autobiography, he said that Timothy Dalton was an actor with a highly tolerable ego. Michael Wilson echoed these sentiments, citing Dalton's theater experience as a leader of the cast. So apparently Dalton...
Like a real actor.
Yeah, but he was also a real supportive of the cast.
Oh, that's
So
good.
that was nice. The original script of this was going to be an origin story and a prequel to the Dr. No book. which
Interesting.
Charlie has now read the Dr. No book, right? No, you haven't read Dr. No
No,
yet.
because it isn't the first
You've read
book.
Casino Royale and Live and Let Die.
I have,
Okay.
yes. But Dr. No might have been the first movie, but not the
Yeah.
first book.
Gogol was originally going to be in the Pushkin role, but they decided Gogol would no longer be doing field work at this point.
Yeah, I can
Given
see
his
that.
age.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting one. Sam Neill tested for Bond and was the odds-on favorite for quite some time, but it was basically Cubby Broccoli that said he wasn't going to be a fit.
Oh,
Do you know who Sam Neill is?
No.
Dr. Alan Grant from Jurassic Park.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Pierce Brosnan also tested. He was offered the job. It was his, but he couldn't get out of Remington Steel.
Now, see, that's one thing I definitely remember.
Yeah.
Like at the time, we did all know that, and there wasn't even an internet, and we knew that.
Yeah.
Right? We knew it was supposed to be Pierce Brosnan, and he couldn't get out of it. And then we're like, I wonder who this Timothy Dalton guy is.
Yeah.
But we still had to go see it because it's a new Bond.
Yeah. I talked about the book, so nothing really else to add there because it was just a short story. It's from the book Octopussy and the Living Daylights.
Okay.
And that's it. All right. Final thoughts and rating. I'm still pondering mine, so let's go to you first. What do you have? Final thoughts and
So, things I like, things I didn't like. It's actually kind of interesting because I think Timothy Dalton probably does a very good job of exactly what they wanted him to do in this movie. He gets rid of the goofiness that eventually crept into the Roger Moore ones, right? And he acts seriously. I think he does a good James Bond. He's a good actor. It's not bad acting at all.
right.
But it also, in a way, suffers from that he is serious,
Yeah.
right? But I'm not going to count him down too much from that. I mean, still think it's pretty good. And I liked the car. I liked a lot of the stunts. So I'm going to give it 4 stars. Now, I
Okay.
will have to figure out where I'm going to put it in all of the 4-star movies.
Okay.
And that may be difficult. I'm going to have to think about that. I would put it above A View to a Kill.
Which would be
12.
12. Okay.
Where are you going to put it?
You've heard me all week.
I know,
I
right?
have pretty much poo-pooed this movie from the start.
I know you have.
So let's take a look here. I mean, Diamonds Are Forever is 14. I have that at 2 stars. Yeah. This is 5 stars, #1 movie for me.
Is it really?
I absolutely love this movie. I have been playing you all week because it is everything I want in a Bond movie. It has it all. And I love Timothy Dalton because Timothy Dalton is the book Bond.
Oh,
and that's
he's
really
very
cool.
serious. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he is a lot like the book.
Yes. He's serious, but he's still, you get those little bits of cheekiness.
You too.
They're not overwhelming like Roger Moore. But
No.
I mean, there's nothing, the only thing I didn't like about this movie was the Jeep coming out of the back of the plane where it clearly looked like the plane could have landed.
It definitely
But
could
other
have
than that,
landed.
no, I absolutely love this. I think it, I talk about how On Her Majesty's Secret Service is the best movie
Yeah.
because it's so good. But Timothy Dalton acts circles around George Lazenby.
He's a great, I mean,
He's
he
a
acts
phenomenal
very,
actor.
very well.
So in the sense of it being a Bond, and I kind of wavered between first and third.
Yeah.
Because it's like, could I really put this above From Russia with Love? But each time I watched it, it's like, I have no complaints about it.
That's
I love it
hilarious.
so much. It's #1.
That's hilarious.
I know. I've been dying all week to tell you that, but I wanted to keep my cards close to the vest on that one.
Well, it is by far definitely the anti-Roger Moore
Yeah.
version of a Bond.
And don't get
movie.
me wrong, I love Roger Moore.
Yeah,
I love
I
the
do too.
cheekiness. I mean, Man with the Golden Gun is still like #5 for me. I love that movie. So
Is it?
it's just this one. Yeah, I didn't even remember it that well. But
That's
like even after the
fascinating.
first time I watched it, it's like, was I sleeping on this one? Like, did I
Maybe
forget?
you were.
So yeah, there you go.
Fascinating.
I know. Now we'll talk about the song
I like the song.
because we'll do our little ranking of that. So, Living Daylights, it did grow on me. I think I'm going to put it at 6. So, I'm going to put it below Goldfinger, but above The Man with the Golden Gun. And really, the only reason I'm going to put it that high is because I love the way it's integrated into the score.
It's integrated in the
I think
score.
when they integrate it well into the score, it's really good.
And there are a lot of Bond song elements integrated into the song itself.
Yes.
Which I think the best ones have.
I just wish the lyrics were more decipherable.
I'm with you. I'm going to put it at 5, beneath Goldfinger, above Diamonds Are Forever.
Okay.
But I didn't like The Man with the Golden Gun as much as you. Although, when I was talking to Gavin, that's like one of his favorites.
Yeah.
But partly I'm partial to the ones I remember really well from my time frame, right? You're judging them from a little different perspective, a lot of these, because they're not from your time period.
What's funny is that, like, there's not going to be another one for a while that I'm going to probably have ranked anywhere near high.
So we need to have our Jim Beam, by the way, before we
do.
totally close this thing.
All right. You know what? We'll pause real quick. We'll get our Jim Beam and we'll come back with our final.
Because we have a couple, we have a count to put in there.
We'll have our Jim Beam with our final thought.
All right.
We are back with our Jim Beam to honor the return of Felix Leiter. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's disgusting. That's why I bought that little teeny tiny bottle.
Definitely an expensive whiskey.
Yeah. Well, there goes our Jim Beam sponsorship.
I know, right?
Not that we wanted one.
No, we'll be fine. Bollinger, though. Still waiting.
Fingers crossed. Slap and tickle count, 35. Bond in a boat count, 9.
You know, it might never budge from that 9.
I don't think so. We'll see, though. Next episode.
Ferris wheel, though, 1. We're up to 1 on the Ferris wheel.
Yeah. Next episode is License to Kill.
Got a license to kill.
Ooh, and that's staying in. Charlie singing. I gotta say, License is weird because I'm keeping the British spelling.
Oh, you do have
With
the British
C,
spelling.
because when I play my Synerdle game where I try to connect movies to movies, if you don't type the British spelling, it doesn't find this movie, and it's very annoying. So,
Fascinating.
yeah. But that's it. Thank you, Charlie.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Bottled in Bond. If you'd like to send us a message, you can do so at bottledinbondpod@gmail.com. Till your next briefing, pour yourself a drink, light a smoke, and find yourself a spirited companion. Goodbye.